Welcome to the St. Tammany Parish Planning Commission. Today is Tuesday, March the 8th. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Casavon? Here. Mr. Lauren? Here. Excuse me, Mr. Richardson? Here. Mr. Richard? Mr. Willie? Here. Mr. Fitzmaurice? Here. Mr. Davis? Here. Mr. Doherty? Here. Mr. Drum? I'm here. Mr. Randolph? Here. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. This time, we would respectfully ask that you silence all phones and electronic devices. If you wish to appeal any recommendation of this commission, appeal cards are to our right. If you wish to speak in front of the commission, we would ask you come to the podium and also fill out a speaker's card. Each side will be given 10 minutes with a 5-minute rebuttal. And after each case, if you wish to discuss it further, we would ask you leave the building, as if you go back into the lobby area, it does echo into the chamber. This time I would ask you to stand with an invocation by Commissioner Randolph, Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Fitzmaurice, followed by our swearing in by our counsel, Mike Savant.
Gracious Father, once again, we come to you with bowed down head and lifted heart to say thank you for all the blessings you bestowed in our lives. Thank you for our families, for our homes, for this parish. We thank you for this government, St. Tammany Parish. We thank you for our leaders. Lord, we thank you for this commission. We thank you for our newly appointed commissioner, Mr. Fitzmaurice. We thank you, Heavenly Father. Allow us to make decisions that's in the best interest of all. And all these blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would ask you remain standing for our oath.
Commissioners, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? Mr. Drum, your right hand. I state your name.
I, David Manoa,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution and laws
that I will support the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of this state,
and the Constitution and laws of this state,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as a member of
as a member of
the St. Tammany Parish Planning Commission and St. Tammany Parish Zoning Commission,
the St. Tammany Parish Planning Commission and the St. Tammany Parish Zoning Commission,
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to all the commissioners. At this time, I would like to welcome our newest commissioner, Patrick Fitzmaurice. And Patrick, do you have any comment?
I just want to say it's an honor to be appointed. I look forward to serving. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We look forward to having you complement our team of commissioners. You have a wealth of knowledge and experience that you'll complement this commission quite well. At this time, I would like to appoint Commissioner Todd Richard as our parliamentarian, as Commissioner Bill Matthews was our former parliamentarian, and so I respectfully appoint Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Also, I want to take one moment to thank Mr. Matthews. Last week when he resigned, I didn't have an opportunity to say so, but I do want to mention that when I first got on this commission, he was a great resource for us, had a lot of knowledge. The newer members appreciated it. We didn't always agree, we didn't always vote the same way, but I never, ever questioned his determination and conviction to the citizens of St. Tammany Parish, as well as the man's integrity. So I just wanted to go on record as thanking him for his service. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Public comment is sincerely appreciated. First item is the approval of the February 10th, 2016 minutes. Commissioner, in your packet are those minutes. Commissioner Randolph.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, a second by Commissioner Dougherty. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I would ask you to vote. Motion carries. Entering parish right-of-way, servitudes, easements. Entering parish right-of-way, Bode Road, Ward 4, District 5. Request to enter parish right-of-way for the purpose of laying fiber optic cable. The debtor, Southern Light LLC, Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Reichert Taladano. This was postponed at the February 10th, 2016 meeting. Staff?
The center of the right-of-way is specifically the portion of Bode Road for the purpose of laying fiber optic cables.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? If you please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Yes, sir. My name is Donald Cooper. I live at 3636 Country Court South in Mobile, Alabama.
And the purpose for the request?
Is to bring services to a new business on that road. The business name is Net Checks, to provide them fiber optic service.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, looking through this, the standard, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, second by Commissioner Willie. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I would ask for a vote. Motion carries. Minor subdivisions, 2016-189 MSP, Lot 5 into Lots 5A and 5B, Ward 2, District 6. The owner, Clarence R. Dutrich. The surveyor, DNS Surveyors, Inc. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Richard Tanner. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason why a public hearing is required for this is that one of the parcels does not meet the minimum 150-foot lot frontage requirement for an A2 zoning district. The owner is proposing to create two parcels from one 3.2-acre parent parcel. Both lots will have public road frontage. However, as indicated above, one of the proposed lots, 5A, does not meet the minimum frontage for an A2 zoning of 150 foot. Therefore, if the commission decides to approve this request, a waiver of the regulations are required relative to the lot width issue, and a two-thirds majority vote of the full membership of the commission, which is 8 members, is needed in order to approve pursuant to Section 40-100, waiver of regulations of subdivision ordinance 499.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Ma'am, if you'd please come to the podium, state your name and address.
My name is Deidre McMurray, and I live at 221 Bonton Relay in Mandeville. My father, we're trying to sell this piece of land because he's going to be 94 this month, and we need the money to help pay for his care right now. So we're requesting this waiver. If you would be so kind to grant that, it sure would help us.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
Yes, both of the properties meet the A2 zoning requirements, and as far as the 107-foot frontage, I don't have a problem with that, especially since the rear of the property has 360 feet. We've done this before. I'll make a motion to approve with the waiver.
We have a motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, a second by Commissioner Willie. Commissioner Richard or Casabon, any comment? None. We do have a motion to approve in a second. It will require 8 votes of the commission to approve. Please vote. Motion carries. 2016-190-MSP, a 20.893 acre parcel and Lot 6A-1, River Forest Country Club subdivision into lots 1 through 4 and Lot 6A1, River Forest Country Club subdivision, Ward 1, District 3. The owner, Pleasantville LLC, surveyor, John G. Cummings and Associates, Inc., Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable James Red Thompson. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason why a public hearing is required for this one is that one parcel, which if you look on your survey plat, lot 6A1 does not meet the minimum 100-foot lot frontage requirements for an A3 suburban zoning. The owner is proposing to create 4 new parcels from a 20.893 acre residential or residual parcel, a parent parcel, and include lot 6A-1 in the minor subdivision, which is a lot currently in River Forest Country Club subdivision for the purpose of meeting code relative to having at least one parcel with public road frontage. However, as stated above, the lot does not meet the minimum public frontage requirements of 100 feet. Said lot only has a frontage of 40 feet. Furthermore, since a private drive is required in order to provide access to at least 4 of the lots pursuant to Section 40-045 minimum construction standards for a private drive, a subdivision regulatory ordinance 499, said drive must be constructed and approved by the engineering department prior to the survey plat being recorded for public record. Finally, if the commission decides to approve this request, a waiver of the regulations are required relative to the lot with issue, and a 2/3 majority vote of the full membership of the commission, 8 members, is needed in order to approve pursuant to Section 40-100, waiver of regulations of subdivision ordinance 499.
Thank you. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Manella. Paul Marone on behalf of Pleasantville LLC. This is the property that you all have seen on a few occasions before. You may recall sometime last year I appeared before you because this parcel was in fact landlocked. It had been through foreclosure, had been through litigation. It's had a very storied history, and we've been working methodically to try to get it to the point where, one, it had legal access, which we achieved last year through what is now Lot 6A, and also to get it into a position where we could request these 4 large lots for Dr. Hogan, Ms. Hogan, and their family. So that is the request to you this evening. As Mr. Keller pointed out, the waiver that we're asking for is on the frontage. The frontage that we are showing is all of the frontage that exists that goes back to the re-subdivision that you all approved of what was originally Lot 6 to give access to this parcel. With regards to the staff comment about constructing the private drive in accordance with the Ordinance 499, we have no objection to that and will comply with that request. I would also point out that under the minor subdivision ordinance, the right-of-way width needs to be at least 35 feet. You will see that we have at least 35 feet. In fact, we have 40 feet at our most narrow point. Most of the right-of-way that we're proposing is going to be 60 feet, so we exceed the minimum in that regard. So with that said, we would respectfully request your approval of the minor re-subdivision with the one waiver on the lot frontage for Lot 6A1, 6A1, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Marone. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Willie.
Paul, yeah, I don't have a problem with the waiver, for the road frontage, but I got a question. Is 6A1 is part of the River Forest subdivision, right?
River Forest Country Club subdivision.
The 20 acres, is it part of that subdivision as well?
No, it was not.
So I'm just, in my mind, is how can you take a lot in a subdivision and create another minor subdivision, including that lot?
Well, that's something we worked with Mr. Neil Hall and with your staff to try to figure out how to make this comply. And there is nothing in the ordinance that prohibits including a lot within an existing subdivision in with a minor re-subdivision. And so that is what we're doing. We're not changing. Lot 6A1 actually exists as we sit here today. We are including it within the 5-lot maximum that we could have for the minor subdivision to be able to comply with the frontage.
Will it still be part of River Forest subdivision? Or?
It will still be part of River Forest subdivision.
But the
That's
20
correct.
acres will not be?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
I
It's
just wanna-
it's a
Yeah,
little
you can switch
confusing.
it in and
Yes,
out.
yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Casabon?
Yeah, that's some of my questions too. In River Forest, it doesn't, whatever you've done here doesn't conflict with any of their covenants or anything like that.
It does
That's-
not.
It does,
It
so
does not.
so it's in their compliance that we're not doing something that we shouldn't be doing.
That's correct.
for
There
them.
is nothing that
Okay.
we're doing here that would be in violation of anything in River Forest Country Club.
That's what I needed to know. Well, anybody to speak, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, second by Commissioner
With the
Willie
waiver.
with waiver. Commissioner
Yes.
Davis?
Yes, Paul.
Yes, sir.
So you said all the lots are really basically owned by the same family?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I know we talked about this before when it first came up with metal lock, a little access. So is that going to be seen as basically a private drive?
Yes, it will be a private drive. That's
Will
correct.
that be signed as a private drive so people just don't?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Thanks.
yes.
Commissioner Casabon, any further questions?
No,
Any further discussion? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Casabon with waiver, second by Commissioner Willie to approve. Please vote. And again, because of the waiver, it will take 8 votes to carry. Motion carries. Entering the Tammany Trace, we have none. Revocations, closing review, we have none. Re-subdivision review, we have none. Dormant subdivision review, we have none. Tentative subdivision review, we have none. Preliminary subdivision review, we have none. Final subdivision review, we have none. Proposed amendments to Ordinance 499. An ordinance to amend the St. Tammany Parish Code of Ordinances, Appendix B of Chapter 40, Subdivision Regulatory Ordinance Number 499, specifically Section 40-032.0, Streets relative to road testing standards, drainage, and utility trench backfill. Staff?
Yeah, the revised testing standards for roadway construction and clarify requirements related to drainage and utility trench backfill. The engineering department has proposed revisions to the testing requirements and has added clarification to make a distinction between drainage and utility trench.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak in favor? Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. Caller Hernandez. I have questions. I think I'm more in favor than opposed, but I'll leave it up to you. I'll start at the end. Whoever used the sample ordinance had Mr. Gould as council chairperson, and I think that needs to be changed to Mr. Dean, who is now the chair. And just for your information, last year in 2015, Mr. Tanner was the chair. So this is an old example that was used on that. And also, if you look at published introduction, it says 2012. So I would assume that that date will be changed also. And keeping at the end of the year, number 9, utility trench backfill. That's new, and it was, in number 8 was called utility trench backfill, but now changed to drainage trench backfill. And if I could, just for the public, and I'm sure everyone here has read this ordinance already, it says utility lines located in non-paved areas or areas not subject to vehicular traffic will not be required to conform to LSSRB Section 701. That stands for, in case, Louisiana Standard Specifications for Roads and Bridges. Utility lines located within paved areas will be required to conform to LSRB Section 701. Utility lines located in paved areas and installed prior to the proof rolling the roadway subgrade will not be required to conform to LSRB or B, Section 701, provided the proof roll passes inspection. Now, let me, this is Section 701 that is referred to on there. I'm curious as to how many of you, and let me just tell you that in there, there are many sections that are referenced in here that I have not had a chance to look at yet. There are numerous sections in the state regulations. One of the things that I would like to request is for the parish to put its specifications online. I got this online from the state. But still could not quite understand what the purpose was here. It's saying that yes, if it's paved, it has to meet, but if it's not paved, it doesn't. Oh, but wait, well we have another qualification that if it's rolled, and I'm wondering how many people understand that terminology, and maybe he can explain that to us. It then does not have to meet the specifications. So I was a little, let's just say, confused about that, and since I could not get the specifications which are in the parishes, I guess I could not quite understand what they were trying to do. The rest of the changes that were made are subject to, and I guess are in conformance with the state regulations. And I guess if you look at them, you will see that we go from I guess having tests within 100 linear feet to now 500 linear feet, or within 200 linear feet, within 500 linear feet. So we're requiring fewer tests is what we're doing. And I guess my question is, why are we doing that? Is it better for the citizens of St. Tammany Parish to have fewer tests? Is it better for the St. Tammany Parish to have fewer tests in order to be in conformance with state regulations? And I, you know, one of the things is, of course, our requirements could be more than what the state regulations are. So I would question why we would have fewer tests. The developer is required to have these tests, you know, obviously at the developer's expense. And I'm curious as to, you know, obviously, it's depending on what the test is, it depends on the cost of the test. But, you know, we're not talking about a lot of money for, you know, the difference between doing it every 100 linear feet and doing it every 500. So, you know, I'm just wondering why we're doing fewer tests than are presently required. And the explanation will be, oh, in order to be in conformance with state regulations. Well, I submit to you that maybe we should be a little more, we should have more tests in our regulations than possibly the state has in its. And those of us who have been involved with street construction projects know that, and those of you who have seen, I'm sure, have seen situations where there have been tests that came back, and it could have been within 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet, 400 feet. And, you know, at the 500 foot, maybe it was okay, but at the other locations, they weren't okay. And so things needed to be corrected in order to do that. Now, I guess now we're going to rely, if in fact this is adopted, we're going to rely then on a 500-foot test minimum instead of having it for lesser feet than that. And I just wondered, you know, is it worth the the savings to the developer of having that? And I would just suggest to you that maybe better just to leave the linear feet the same and make the other changes that are recommended in here, even though some are, and it's still, the last one is still a little confusing to me, but hopefully you know, it will be explained, I guess, in due time, and certainly between now and when the ordinance comes before the parish council, I will have additional time to look at it, and maybe by then I'll have the opportunity to see the specifications by the parish. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to comment? I want to ask staff if, relative to clarification of item 9, if you would provide any further clarification on those 3 standards.
Item 9 The utility trench backfill section was added because there was confusion with the previous section. Section 8 was utility trench backfill, which includes side drains, cross drains, and it included, well, it was named utility trench backfill, which would include water lines and sewer lines, any utility lines that were in. So we wanted to remove the water and sewer lines, any utility lines from that section and create its own section. Those are typically installed at a deeper depth in the roadway, and they're installed before we do a proof roll on the roadway. I guess to remove an undue burden on extra testing that would be required at all the crossings for all the utility lines, when we felt that it was really just for the cross drains and side drains that needed to be tested.
Thank you. And relative to the question about changing from 100 linear feet to 500 to comply with, I guess, state standards?
Right, there's multiple different testing frequency requirements that we changed, which it's my understanding that all of our requirements are above and beyond what DOTD requires right now. When the last time that this ordinance was changed in 2014, I believe, was when these new requirements were put into place. And since that time, we've had some complaints. The engineering department's gone back and looked at the ordinance, and we feel that we can relax the requirements a little bit while still having and maintaining good testing requirements for all our roads to make sure that they're safe and lasting roadways.
Staff feels confident that we'll maintain the integrity of the
Yes.
public interest?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Dougherty.
Jay, on the testing requirements, how many, in your opinion, have failed whenever we had, or we have the more tests done versus if you go back and look every 1,000 feet or whatever it is today?
I don't believe that there was an increased failure rate at all. It was just increased testing.
So it was probably pretty insignificant then?
Excuse me?
The number of failures was insignificant even
Correct.
though we required it to be done?
Correct.
Okay, and you don't see a problem with relaxing this to save the developers money in the long run?
No. We met with our inspectors, multiple engineers in the engineering department over at least the last 6 months to a year, talking about these requirements and what we felt would be an appropriate, appropriate changes to be able to relax them a little bit, give developers a little bit
Okay.
less requirements, but still maintain what we needed to be able to get these roads tested.
Okay, how many testing labs do we recognize as approved for St. Tammany Parish?
That I don't know offhand.
Well, I guess these are professional contracts that the
Yeah, there's
president-
independent testing facilities that they run.
Pardon?
They're independent third-party testing.
Right, but don't these labs have to meet the St. Tammany Parish specifications for testing?
For frequency and testing?
Whatever
Or-
they're looking at on these tests, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's spelled out in the ordinance, what tests, what ASTM requirements they have to meet for each different test and the frequency. And so right now, we're not changing the test that they have to pass, we're just changing the frequency at which they're testing.
okay, but we don't know, we don't require any, well, it's not schooling, but how do we certify these testing labs? We, the parish?
The state certifies them.
State certifies. Okay, and we're assuming the state knows what they're doing.
I would assume so, yes.
Well, if you could see some of the roads that I've seen here recently, I wouldn't be too sure about that. All right, thank you, Judge.
All right.
Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, Jeff, my question is on the testing of this, the maintenance bonds that we put on the road. How long are they on there after the testing is, or we've released?
This isn't changing the warranty
It
obligations.
doesn't change it,
No.
but I'm saying if they were not in compliance or they did not, you let them know in the testing and then they have to fix it before any of this maintenance
Yeah,
bond
before-
is released
right,
and
before
they have
warranty
to fix
obligation,
everything and
yes.
stuff. But it is a state standard and usually a state lab that.
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Lauren?
Maybe let me word it a little bit different than maybe Martha did a minute ago. Under the proposed new ordinance, does it at least meet the same standards as the state standards?
The standards are still higher than the state standards.
They're all higher than the state standards?
Yes.
That answers my question.
Commissioner Davis?
Well, I like the fact, Jay, that the standards are higher than the states. One question, you kept talking about the length from 100 feet to 500 feet, which I don't have a problem with if everything's been looking good so far. A couple of little small changes, like the subgrade for the roadway approval from 24 to 48 hours. What is that about? I mean, are we having a problem of getting this approvals in that quick?
I think that was a problem sometimes if they requested it and they only had 24 hours or there wasn't a turnaround.
Okay.
They were looking for a longer approval.
Okay, so that has nothing to
Approval
do with
window.
the state, that's just something basically to assist in maybe the contractors or whoever to go ahead and get it done in a certain amount of time.
Right, and then a
Okay.
lot of it had to do with retesting after it rains, but if there wasn't a rain within the 24 hours or 48 hours, they would still have to retest because they missed the 24-hour window, so we wanted to expand it to 48 hours.
And discuss to me exactly what the plasticity index is? From 18% to 20%? Less than 18% to 20%? And why are we going there too?
That was requested, and it was a minor change that we didn't feel that it was going to change anything.
I just wonder why that was changed.
It was requested in one of the meetings,
And
I
that
can't
still
remember.
meets the state standards?
Yeah, it does.
Do you know what the state standard is for that?
I don't, but I know that whatever we had in here met the state standards.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Randolph?
Yes, Jay, in that same section, page 2 of 6, item number 1, second paragraph. Once the roadway alignment is stripped and undercut to the required upgrade elevation, is that a moving target based on the size, on what type road or street is being constructed?
You're looking on page 2.
Page 2 of 6, page 2.
Right.
Item number 1.
And actually, in
roadway
item
subgrade.
number 1, there's absolutely nothing has changed from what's current. I mean, that's our current ordinance right there.
Well, I'm just trying to identify what is the required subgrade elevation. Is there a required subgrade elevation? Is there a benchmark? Is there a scale?
I mean, the elevation changes to.
So it's a moving target?
Yes, it is.
Gotcha.
From the lay of the
Okay.
land.
Okay.
Commissioner Casabon?
Yes, I was going to make a motion to approve.
Second?
A motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, a second by Commissioner Randolph. Is there any further discussion? If not, I would ask you to vote. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hernandez mentioned some changes that need to be sure that it's changed from 2012 to 2016.
Yes,
And your motion would cover that, Martha?
The typos in the amendment, our secretary has made notations to that effect to make sure that the amendment is in compliance at the time it's presented. Thank you. Is there any old business to come before the commission? Is there any new business to come before the commission?
Just want to make sure everybody has the correct mileage form. If you want to look and see if you have the right one, it should say CAO policy 3.5 in the top right-hand corner. But everybody should have gotten one, either given to them or emailed. But just double checking.
Thank you. If not, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved. Meeting adjourned.